Alright, this is the third video for The Quiet Sleep, which is a city builder tower defense game set in your mind. So it's all about building out yourself, building out different pieces of yourself, and figuring out how to set up your mind to best deal with the stuff you're going through, right? So you start with this, which is the self or the id. It's the core of who you are. Over here you see the first trait, which is adulthood. It represents how well developed your adulthood is, right? And over here we see our first goal, which is to wake up. And this requires 2 energy, which we'll be able to build in the adulthood trait with this energy spring. So the first thing we need to do here is hook this up to the self and then actually build this energy mine, right? So that's going to require will. So what we did is we started a path that went to this construction from which it required will, so we went to the will mine, right? So now we start this train and we start the game. We're going to see will get produced here and be taken here. And meanwhile we'll just hook up this goal in anticipation, right? So basically to build anything requires will. So now we're just producing that will and using it in this mine, right? This should be the last one we need, and there's the will. Yes, there it is. And that just goes here, and that's complete. So now what we want to do is complete this goal. So we're going to start by clicking on this goal once we've started our path, right? And this shows us that now we need energy. So we're going to click on this energy spring that produces energy and start the train, right? And now you can see this train go, pick up this energy, and take it directly here, right? And now we only need 1 more energy. It's happening right here. Right, we just wait for that energy to be produced, and boom, done, right? So now we have a new goal, which requires chores, which this produces will and this produces energy, so we don't have the ability to do that yet. But you can see over here in these new buttons, we have a chore button. So we're just going to put that down here. Might not have been the best place for it, but oh well. And hook that up, like so. So once again, before we do anything else, we're going to need to actually build the tower. It's going to require will. So we'll just start that up. And meanwhile, we'll just hook this up here, like so, right? So now we should be able to complete this goal as well once this tower is built, right? So there we go. So we pick up will, and boom, that one's complete. So now this is a tower, right? So let's take a look at towers before we do anything else. What these do is they convert currencies. So where something like the energy mine or the will mine will produce will, this converts it, right? So now if we look at this, by clicking here we can see that we need chores, which we'll get from this tower, but that requires energy, which we'll get from this mine, right? So now that we've set up that full train of thought, let's just run that, right? And you can see it picks up the energy, takes it to this tower where it's immediately consumed, and then that's going to produce a chore given enough time, which is going to be taken here, right? So there you go. So now we're just going to speed up the second one, right? Takes the energy, comes here, gets the chore eventually, and completes. Okay? So now we have 2 new goals, which you can see. One is to read this letter from home, and the other is to explore the city. So this is going to make us very emotional, and right now we don't have any defenses in place for being so emotional. So we're going to start with this goal. It's pretty straightforward. It just needs energy, and we can do that easily. Now you see we have a new button here, which is the paint tower, right? Now this doesn't produce anything in the way the chore tower does. Instead what it does is it helps us deal with emotions. So we're just going to build this as well, and we're going to let things run like that. And meanwhile, we'll just hook this up like so. Right, so you can see we took the energy to that goal, and completing that goal has resulted in a new trait, which we see right here. Right, we explored the city, and now the city itself is in our mind as such. Right, so we can develop that space in our mind by putting down a travel tower. We can't use that yet, but we'll build it anyway, just in anticipation for when we can. You can also see that we have two new goals, right, to find a job essentially, which requires travel that we're getting from this travel tower. But traveling requires motivation, which we do not have yet. So we'll just give that some time to get done. Also, we finally completed our paint tower, so we can start doing that too. So we're going to start painting. Well, painting requires energy, which again we produce at the energy spring, so that's pretty straightforward. And also, we're going to start completing this goal, which is for will. So now we just have those trains of thought run. You can see this one here is working here. And over here, you can see that we've spawned a new object here. Now what this is our sadness at missing home, which has naturally spawned from reading this letter from home, right? So this is going to spawn sadness, like just happened there, and like we'll see again. So here is a train carrying sadness, right? That is the currency it holds. And what's going to happen is it's going to come here, and the paint tower is going to deal with it, right? Just like so. So that's how that works. Right, now if emotions get all the way to the self, then you're going to lose control of yourself because you're so overwhelmed with these emotions, and as a result of that, you're not going to be able to set any new trains of thought for a little while, and also all of your towers are going to slow down in the case of sadness. Right, but on the flip side, you will be less likely to be distracted. It's quite nice. Right? So now we have a patriotism mine set up, and we have this travel tower to build, so let's just hook both of these up to this will mine so that they get built. Now we're not doing anything that makes us produce emotions anymore, but we still have this residual sadness from reading that letter. So we're going to leave painting active for a while so that it can deal with that. Also, you can see here we have a new goal to meet new person, but that's going to require travel, which we don't have. Right, so right now this game is just ticking along a little bit, except over here, all of the sadness has caused a memory of the sadness, right? And what that's done is it's going to produce even more sadness until it dissipates. It also lets us build mines and towers specific to it, but we don't need either one of those just yet, so we're going to leave those alone. Also, well, I would like to turn off this paint tower, but I'm not sure about when emotions will come out of this, right? That could happen basically at any time. So we're going to leave this active a little bit, just while we're getting things done. So now you can see this is getting built, and this is already built, and I think we're going to take this cleaner job over here. So to do that, we're going to want to connect this to the structure, just like everything else. Let's just let this run a little bit more, just speed it up a bit, and there we go. So now we can start actually getting this job. It's going to require travel, which requires motivation. And there's this train of thought, and you see this memory has disappeared, right, as memories do at time, but this is going to produce its own set of emotions, so that's why we'll leave this paint tower active. See, as it did, right, it produced anger. Yep. And just waiting for this one to complete. Takes a while inside the towers. But actually, I think this is a reasonable point to stop the game. So here you have a good idea of all of the mechanics of the game. So go ahead, try it out, tell me what you think. Yeah.